Hi, we're Team 8 and we're going to present the Aqua case. We are Ana Bejarano, Maria Martinez, Hannah Bo, Xiaobin Su, and Nicole Rybakov. Table of contents: Introduction, TQM and Six Sigma, COQ analysis, effect of implementing Six Sigma in today's world, and conclusion. Recommendation: implement Six Sigma. What is Aqua? Aqua is a company that sells home swimming pools, fun water toys, and swimming pool accessories. The company has been successful for decades, but is now experiencing warranty claims, slow sales growth, and poor quality. For this reason, Aqua wants to implement a Six Sigma approach in order to improve quality, reduce costs, and increase revenue.
So what is Six Sigma? So Six Sigma is a business methodology approach that focuses on reducing defects in the manufacturing processes and improving the quality of the product or service that is being offered. It was first introduced by Motorola in the mid-1980s. Motorola engineers believed that the quality assessment techniques that they were doing were not accurate enough since they measured defects in thousands of products, and therefore they started measuring defects in a million products. Six Sigma uses a data-driven approach that attempts to drive towards a 6 standard deviation between the mean and the nearest specification limit in any process that needs improvement. If Six Sigma is implemented effectively, then the process must not produce more than 3.4 defects per million products made. Six Sigma reduces the waste and therefore reduces the manufacturing cost an enterprise has. It lets companies allocate their monetary resources where they are needed. Six Sigma can be seen as a mindset and a culture that a business can adopt. All employees must understand Six Sigma to be able to adopt it, and it has a 5-step work to implement it correctly. Six Sigma follows the DMAIC method when a product is already created. For example, Aqua and General Electric, which we'll talk about later, use this approach. DMAIC stands for define the problem, measure the data to characterize the problem, analyze the data, improve processes, and finally, control the process.
So there's a relationship between TQM and Six Sigma, and there are factors that TQM should be encouraged, factors of TQM that should be encouraged when they design a Six Sigma implementation. So first of all, what is TQM or total quality management? TQM is an integrated business management strategy that's aimed at embedding awareness of quality in all the organizational processes of a company. There are 3 main things that are important for the TQM. The first one is that the product's quality has to be determined by the customer's acceptance and use of it. That means that the company can determine what the quality will look like, but they also have to take into account what the customer sees and perceives as quality. The quality management has to be total and has to be organization-wide. That means that everyone in the company has to be involved in the process of total quality management for the quality of products and services to be successful. And it requires a total commitment from all employees. So everyone has to be committed to help improve processes so that outputs and products are better. There's a difference between Six Sigma and TQM, and the main one is that TQM focuses on improving the process that's going to lead to an output, but Six Sigma focuses on decreasing variation in the outputs. So the TQM factors are many, but the ones that Roberta should encourage the employees to consider when designing Six Sigma are these 5: top management support, emphasis on prevention rather than inspection, data-based decision-making versus opinion-based decision-making, employee empowerment, and disdain for variability. So for the top management support, at the moment, the Aqua Funds manager are not well aware of everything that's going on at the company. They aren't aware of all the costs that are needed that are associated with managing quality and quality failure. This means that the top management for the top management to support all employees and all workers in the company, they have to be aware of everything that's going on. And with everything, we also mean like the costs that they are going to have to incur so that quality is achieved. That means that like Six Sigma also requires that the key leaders of the company are trained, not only the workers or the workers that are going to work on the products, but everyone in the top management support has to also be trained. Because if the managers are supporting the workers, if the management are empowering the workers, which we're going to talk more about later, they're going to see success. If they're only the ones that are going to be in charge of everything that's in the top management decision making, they're not going to achieve success, because they need to be involved in everything, from the data, from the decision making to the processes. So for prevention rather than inspection, the company has to make sure that they're going to prevent stuff from happening before it happens. That means that they're going to have to invest more in prevention costs rather than in inspection costs, because TQM focuses on problem prevention as opposed to fixing problems after they occur. It's more costly to fix problems after they occur, because you're going to have to go through all the process to have a wrong or a defect output, meaning that it's better to inspect your process before, so that the product, that the company doesn't incur that many costs on appraisal costs. So that means that when designing the Six Sigma, Aquafund must focus on preventing any mistakes in quality even before starting any processes. So that's why they have to collect more data on marketing, customer, and user costs, which at the moment they don't have that much. So for that relates to the data-based decision making. This means that because they're lacking data on the cost, and there are hidden costs of quality that aren't captured in the analysis that they have been doing, they have to find this data before making any decisions, because it's better to have a decision made on data rather than on their opinion. So every step has to be designed according to the data on the processes to have less variability. Finally, for the last two, employee empowerment. Employees have to have responsibility and authority to make decisions. Everything cannot be on the hands of top management for quality to be achieved. So that's why they can make creator incentive systems to motivate the worker involvement. And the employees also need knowledge. By knowledge, we mean resources, data, tools, and systems that are going to help achieve good quality. And this also means that everyone, as we said before, everyone has to be involved in the process for that quality to be achieved and for the products to be good products. And finally, the company has to have a disdain for variability, because variability leads to unpredictability, and unpredictability leads to uncertainty, which therefore is gonna have reduced control of outputs and processes. And if we have reduced control of outputs and processes, we're gonna have a lot more costs, and we're gonna have less quality products, and our customers are not going to be happy. The team has to continually find and eliminate any sources of unwanted variability. And because Six Sigma basically builds up on the idea that quality management is going to reduce variability. So in conclusion, they have to involve everyone from top managers to the people working on the floor to people in operations, supply chain, finance, and marketing, for when they design Six Sigma, so that it works. If not, it's probably not going to work. So our final suggestions are implement. Thank you. So our final suggestions are implement an employee training system so everyone's involved, everyone knows what's going on. Set up a concurring meeting with top management and the employees so that they're also maintained up to date and informed of every process, every variability that's being found, every error that's being found in the process, in the systems. Also invest in data building systems and data recording systems to effectively record data on costs, data on processes, data on systems, data on outputs, and invest in inspections of the processes, quality program planning and reporting rather than the output inspection. Focus on customers' definition of quality. What our customers' definition actually is good quality, fun water toys and swimming pool accessories. So that's what we have to focus on making, not what we think is quality, but what the customer perceives as quality, and ensure that everyone is involved.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the cost of quality analysis, where we find what else that we can include in that and where to find them. So firstly, let's talk a little bit about prevention costs. Like Hannah just said, prevention costs is one of the major things to consider for Aquafund, because you'd rather have more prevention costs than effects of having bad marketing, research, customer user perception surveys, because that will end up actually giving more costs for the company, as well as having bad effects on customer reputation. So in a general sense, what we did for cost of quality here is that we included everything that's specific enough to have a name attached to it so that you can estimate or go to, for example, marketing research, you go to marketing department or their managers to find it. And rather than say number 6 in quality administration for other prevention costs, it just does not have a name. We don't know exactly what's included in that. Then we decide that that should not be included in the prevention costs. So here we have marketing research, customer perception surveys, supply quality planning, quality program planning reporting to be included, and other prevention costs not. And I'll briefly talk about the other ones as well. So here, the only thing not included is miscellaneous quality evaluations. In this case, again, it doesn't have specific names attached to it. We don't know what cost that is, so it should not be included within the appraisal cost category. And on the right, you can also see who is involved and where to find them. In this case, supply chain, human resources, as well as operations product management. Here, once again, in extra operations, as well as other internal failure costs, those are not specified enough for us to include it in the cost. Therefore, we included everything else except those two. And you can find them at supply chain management, as well as product process engineers for those that are included. Lastly, these two categories, customer goodwill, one of the most important factors in terms of Aqua Fund, because again, you want to get more prevention costs rather than spending it on lost customers in the end. So that is in fact included. And then the other external failure costs, which we don't know where it attributes to, so that is not included. So yeah.
So effects of implementing Six Sigma. Cost in the short term. Costs expected to go up. Training employees. To improve the quality of process outputs, employees need to learn about quality management philosophies and tools, how to manufacture products correctly, and how to provide the best service. To do so, Roberta will invest in a green belt and black belt approach. The green belt is usually conformed by employees who receive a basic level of training. Meanwhile, the black belt group is usually conformed by key leaders who receive the highest level of training. Prevention cost. Investing in prevention cost helps to keep failure costs at its minimum. Eliminating defects before production begins increases profits. These costs include process planning, review and analysis of quality, and training employees to prevent future failures. Appraisal cost. It is important to invest in appraisal costs because they detect defects in products before delivering them to customers. By diagnosing poor quality products, the business will improve its quality, customer experience, and customer service. Monitoring programs. Monitoring employees will make processes more efficient because staff will be more focused and productive, which will improve the quality of products and lead times. Costs expected to go down. Internal failure costs are the costs associated with product failures that are discovered before a product leaves the factory. Since employees will be monitored and trained, and the company will invest in prevention costs, they will be reduced. External failure costs. These costs are incurred due to product failures after they have been sold to customers, such as customer lawsuits or loss of future sales from dissatisfied customers and product returns. These costs will be reduced because the company will invest in appraisal costs and because while applying Six Sigma, employees' performance will improve and the defects error will be reduced. So there will be less mistakes. Scrap cost. Scrap cost refers to the materials that are added to production but are not part of the finished products. By implementing Six Sigma and improving quality, forecasting correctly demand, and improving manufacturing process, this cost will also be reduced. Maintenance cost. By implementing Six Sigma and by having a trained staff, maintenance costs will be reduced. This is because employees will know how to exactly forecast demand and make processes more efficient, which will also decrease lead times and will help to just keep the exact and necessary inventory, which will decrease maintenance costs. And finally, downtime costs. These are the costs related to wastes that lead to inefficient results. By implementing Six Sigma, this cost will be reduced because the supply chain will be more organized, employees will forecast demand more exactly, and the lead times will be reduced, which will help the quality of the process outputs to improve.
So after talking about cost in the short term, as well as the COQ analysis, then we can do an estimate for the costs of implementing Six Sigma to find out if it's really worth it for Aqua to use that. So with a low estimate of black belt implementing only 2% of total employees, we have a chart here, but basically in respect to time, I won't go detail into it, but in the end, the total cost of implementation with a black belt with 2% would end up being $520,000. And you can find all this in our spreadsheet as well. For green belt with 50%, it will end up being about 6.5 million in total cost. So total cost for low estimates of black belt with 2% implementation, green belt with 50% ends up being slightly over 7 million. As for the high estimates, it will be black belt with 5% being 1.6 million and green belt with 100% implementation with near 20 million of costs. And in the end, the total cost comes up to be $21 million. So from there, we can calculate potential savings that will determine why we would implement Six Sigma. Assumptions here are made so that additional costs from adding like those market research that we already talked about in cost of quality is about 10 million plus, which is stated in the case, but not exact. But from that number, we get that it's slightly under 50 million for the total costs. So the cost to implement, as we just talked about, is between 7 million to 21 million. And we know that results vary between 10 to 20% from the case as well. So with minimum cost strategy, which is 702 million, you would at least save 2.4 million with maximum results of 20%, and you will only lose about 2.2 million with minimum results. So in the end, the average on that is slightly over zero, which we think is a good indication to continue. But that's not the most important part, is that with this training, this process will actually affect longer term as well. It's not just this year, but multiple years to come. So in the end, this becomes a fixed cost rather than a cost that has to be incurred every year, which will drastically increase the profit in the coming years. And again, like we said, additionally, we're underestimating total cost. So the potential savings may actually be higher than what it is, talking about the 10 million additional costs. And again, it's not accounting for the few years of effects that Six Sigma training will have in the future as well. So the result that we get from this is that we will implement with the minimum cost strategy of 7.02 million.
So Six Sigma in today's world. So what is Six Sigma nowadays? So today Six Sigma has evolved compared to the first introduction it had when Motorola introduced it in the mid-1980s. So today, Six Sigma has been combined and merged with another methodology called Lean. So these two act as a problem-solving system. Lean Six Sigma uses both DMAIC and PDCA, that stands for Plan, Do, Act, Check, and Act. Lean Six Sigma is able to understand complex businesses that arise nowadays and can tackle bottlenecks with the help of technology. Technology has had a significant impact in Six Sigma since information systems, along with applications, can help gather the big data that is needed to tackle these bottlenecks and leads to a deeper understanding of the business situation. For example, AL algorithms can help identify and eliminate those bottlenecks. Six Sigma, however, has a downside. Since it's so focused on a certain number of topics, innovation is left aside. According to Mike Pino, a technology strategist at PwC, disruptive innovation is discouraged in the business built around Six Sigma, which may lead to missing opportunities because no radical changes occur in the business. So for General Electric, which is the other company that uses Six Sigma in the real world, General Electric is a US multinational company. It is a world energy leader providing equipment solutions and services across the energy value chain from generation to consumption. General Electric was struggling to improve the overall product quality and service, even when they had the best professionals working in the company. General Electric officially decided to implement Six Sigma around 1995. And consequently, the company was able to introduce better streamlining measures into a product assurance. As a result, revenue increased. According to Jennifer Holbus in the article named How General Electric Used Six Sigma to Transform Their Company, they implemented Six Sigma by focusing on 4 key elements: training, mentoring, leadership, and focused implementation. For training, General Electric required almost all employees to take a 2-week course to a 100-hour course about Six Sigma. And then they asked each of the employees to complete a project implementing the Six Sigma methodology. For mentoring, General Electric had full-time master black belts, and Six Sigma professionals were required to train and mentor the other employees. By doing this, they created a team of black belts and green belts through the entire company, so everybody understood the methodology. They all collaborated in different Six Sigma projects, and moreover, the projects they created were reviewed quarterly at executive level so that they had control over all of the processes and projects. For leadership, Welch, which is the CEO of General Electric, asked for commitment into the Six Sigma goals in the entire labor force. He gave incentives of promotion and bonuses if quality was seen to improve in each of the employees' projects. A green belt certification became a minimum requirement for a promotion at General Electric. Finally, for the focused implementation factor, General Electric used 3 key implementation approaches, which were: show me the money. It meant General Electric focused on the bottom line, cutting costs to compete in price-sensitive markets. Everybody Plays focused on outsourced suppliers who were expected to participate in Six Sigma initiative to make sure that the quality was assured from start to the finish of each product. Finally, specific techniques meant General Electric to use process maps and other Six Sigma tools to rank and associate projects with overreaching business and goals. So as a conclusion, as stated by Jack Welch, the company did increase their processes and reduced waste within the projects they created and ended saving an overall of $12 billion in cost saving.
Okay, so that was pretty much our case for Aqua. And in the end, we just want to conclude by saying that we should implement Six Sigma with the minimum cost strategy that I already talked about. And the reason is that the effects of the long-term benefits outweigh the potential loss from implementing the strategy, because from those costs that we saw, Aqua really indeed does need a strategy to cut down on that part. And it will help increase quality and therefore revenue, therefore more profits and so on. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.